Bryce Underwood is the number one player and number one quarterback in the class of 2025. Dude's really freaking good. That's pretty straightforward here. He is currently committed to LSU. He has been committed to LSU for over 300 days. All right, so obviously he likes LSU. Bryce Underwood, however, lives in the state of Michigan, right around 30 minutes away from where the University of Michigan is. And Pete Nakos of On3 reported yesterday that Michigan is playing some ball here on the NIL front. And they have made a comparable offer on the NIL front to what LSU is offering. College football sickos, make sure you are subscribed. We have had a ton of y'all join the channel throughout the course of the season. We're glad to have y'all here. If you have not yet subscribed, we're glad to have you a part of this. We appreciate you in advance for being dialed in. Now, On3's very own Steve Wiltfong also reported that Michigan ramping up the dialogue with Bryce Underwood's camp, and it's one to monitor. Now, I think all of us, when we saw this report, and like, hey, Michigan, they're getting an NIL game, all of a sudden, like, okay, this is the Dave Portnoy effect, right? That was, I think, everyone's knee-jerk reaction. Because I want to say it was right around a month or so ago, Dave Portnoy goes on a Barstool Sports program and says, hey, I'm going to make sure Michigan has a quarterback. Now, E.J. Holland of the Wolverine, another reason to be dialed into the Wolverine, make sure you get a subscription there for all things Michigan. He goes on the Inside Scoop yesterday with Josh Newberg and essentially shuts that down. He says, yeah, Dave Portnoy and Michigan have been in contact. Dave Portnoy, the founder and CEO of Barstool Sports, I don't know if he's the CEO, definitely the founder of Barstool Sports, has essentially more interest in the transfer portal quarterback market, is what he spoke to with that whole idea that he's going to get Michigan a quarterback and is willing to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million. So just make sure we're clear here. E.J. Holland is saying this isn't necessarily a Dave Portnoy move here. This isn't where this is all coming from when it comes to Michigan now trying to get in the game for Bryce Underwood. So those are the facts, all right? Now, I want to be very clear on this and give this a preface. We have the best coverage in the world when it comes to college football recruiting on the On3 Recruits channel. I mentioned Josh Newberg, Phillip Dukes. Make sure you're dialed in over there. With Steve Wiltfong, make sure you're dialed in there. Get a subscription there. This is not intel. This is my opinion on where things stand right now. If you're Michigan, you are 20 to 30 minutes away from the best quarterback in high school football. So while this headline is probably a little bit alarming for college football fans, for LSU fans, and it fires you up if you're a Michigan fan, all of this really makes a lot of sense when you talk it through. What I just mentioned. You have the best quarterback in high school football in your backyard. And y'all, if you're looking at what Michigan's doing at the quarterback position right now, like, it's not cutting it. Okay, you got some issues. You have now gone through your entire quarterback room once over, and you're back at the top with Davis Warren. So, like, yeah, there's something to be desired at the quarterback position. So it would be irresponsible to not recruit that kid all the way through the whistle. And until pen meets paper, make your pitch, try and get in that conversation and try and make your best pitch possible to try and keep that guy, again, in your backyard and get him to come to Michigan. Now, the report here, again, the report is all based on the NIL offer and the dialogue between Michigan and Bryce Underwood's camp. The report here is not, hey, Bryce Underwood, he's going to visit. Hey, Bryce Underwood, he was on campus. That's not what's being said here. I think that's important to make sure we talk through here, because if you're an LSU fan, you see this report and you're like, whoa, is this something I should be concerned about? All that's being reported here is that Michigan is willing to play ball on an NIL front. So I want to speak to both fan bases here. I want to speak to Michigan first. LSU, I'll get to you here right in a quick second. Michigan fans, even if you don't flip Bryce Underwood, like best case scenario, you find a way to get it done, and Bryce Underwood's a Michigan Wolverine. That's the best case scenario, okay? So that's one side of this. Even if that doesn't happen, the fact that you are willing to play ball for the best quarterback in America right now should be encouraging. Because what have we said about Michigan here really since the NIL era started, or really when it comes to recruiting in general for the last couple of seasons? Yeah, they develop. Yeah, they don't really get as heavily into the NIL game. There's opportunities there when you get to Ann Arbor, and you get there and you can make some money, but like, you were never talking about being in the sweepstakes for high-level players, much less high-level quarterbacks in this regard on the NIL front. You talk about Oregon, talk about Ohio State, both teams that you will have to beat at some point in time to win the Big Ten championship again. So you're going now to war on the NIL front, and just being willing to do it, I think shows growth, and it shows a step in the right direction. Because we say this a lot, man. NIL is no longer a voluntary thing. It's no longer a, maybe we'll get involved, maybe we'll put some resources there. It is non-negotiable. It is have it used or used against you. And so right now for Michigan, even if they don't flip Bryce Underwood, to make a solid step in the right direction on the NIL front, I think that would be encouraging to me if I'm a Michigan fan about where this thing is headed. All right, now LSU fans, I get it. This, like I said, this headline is a touch alarming. Totally makes sense. But again, this is not intel. Here's my logic on this thing. If money is, let's just call it on the pros and cons list, the money is just, for the sake of this conversation, let's say it's about even. All right, so money's good at LSU, money's good at Michigan. You would imagine then that the idea of what you do as a college football player becomes a pretty large part of this conversation. Probably already a large part of the conversation for Bryce Underwood as well, based on what he's saying. But if you're doing a pros and cons list from a football perspective, I think LSU has a pretty good case. My biggest issue with seeing Bryce Underwood at Michigan would be okay, I love that you're making a play for him on that NIL front, but you're putting him under center with a fullback, running ISO, running the football 55 to 60% of the time. I don't think that's the way that you attract the top quarterback in college football. What would attract the top quarterback in college football or in high school football right now, and presumably when he gets to college football, is the trajectory of where things are headed within your football team, with what Brian Kelly's done there in 2 years, going on 3 years now, and what they've done at the quarterback position. Jaden Daniels just won the Heisman Trophy, tearing it up in the NFL. Number 2 overall pick. I get J.J. McCarthy was a top 10 pick, or a top 15 pick, first round pick, but still, Michigan and what they're doing right now, that was the old staff. Everything about LSU, to me, should be favorable when you have that discussion. Now, how does it play out? Again, I'm not telling you I know, but what I'm saying here is there's a lot of reason for confidence. And Shea Dixon of the Bengal Tiger, our LSU on 3 site, has a lot of great intel on this whole topic and a great opinion on this topic. So, again, another reason to be dialed in there with the membership. But if it's me, I wouldn't have a massive reaction if I'm an LSU Tiger fan until he steps foot on campus, or until there's a visit, or until something of that nature. In my humble opinion, there's typically some signs you would see here before things would concern me, if that makes sense. Now, again, he's from Michigan. He's close to the campus. I'm sure it's not a thing where he has to visit 3 or 4 times to ultimately end up at Michigan, but I'm just saying, I would not be worried with my guy being committed for over 300 days now. That, to me, would be the encouraging thing, as well as all the things you have working in your favor to make the pitch for Bryce Underwood. So I think I've said this now as clearly as possible. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have intel on this. Those are the facts. That's my opinion. And I am very, very much so excited to see what Bryce Underwood does when he gets to college football.